Hey guys, it's Janie. Welcome back to the Bookworms Buddy. Today is my wrap-up for January, and I'm mind blown at the amount of books that I read for the month of January. I am using my book journal. You can get this from Amazon for $5.98. It has a place where you can list all the books that you read, up to 100 books. And then it's got a part in here where you can actually write your reviews, the date you started, the date you finished. It's actually very, very handy. So you can go to Amazon, $5.98, and you can get one. Okay, so I read an amount of 16 books for the month of January. 16 books. I am used to reading far less than that since I started working. But now that I'm retired, it's picked up. I told my husband I just can't stop reading because I should say that's the one thing I miss. It was like losing a best friend because I would come home and I just could not absorb a book. So anyway, enough of that. So here we go. The very first book that I read for this month was Picture Perfect by Jodi Picoult. Look at this cover. I didn't understand the cover or how it pertained to the book. I wasn't really sure. Jodi Picoult does write contemporary. This book, she wakes up and finds herself like next to a gravestone. She's knocked out. She gets found. Somebody comes forward and says, "Hey, I'm her husband," and he's some brilliant. Let's see, it says Hollywood's biggest movie star, Alex Rivers. Anyway, she's really bewildered and doesn't understand what's going on, and she starts getting her memory back in little figments. There was parts that were a little scary, but not scary as in horror scary, but scary for anybody who would not understand what was going on. So anyway, I ended up rating this 5 stars because I really enjoy it. I really enjoy Jodi Picoult, so I could be biased, but I already thought the story was great. A great storytelling. She's got great pacing when she writes. I absolutely love everything so far that I've read by Jodi Picoult. The next book that I read for the month was Leaving Time by Jodi Picoult. Also, fantastic book. This has more of a mystery feel to it. There's a little bit of mystery in here. Great characters. I rated this 4 stars though. This girl lost her mother she disappeared, and she had never given up on trying to locate her, so she's trying to locate her now. And that's the story. You know me, I'm very vague on these wrap-up because I don't want to give stuff away because I know I hate it if something is given away to me. So I rated it 4 stars. It's definitely a rereadable material. It's by Jodi Picoult, Leaving Time. Fantastic. The next book we read is Play Dead by Harlan Coben. If y'all know me, you know I love Harlan Coben. This book right here, this big fat book, was his debut novel. And I could not believe that this was a debut novel. This one is a story of a newlywed couple, and they go off for their honeymoon. Her husband ends up disappearing, hence the story goes from there. Had lots of great mystery, a little predictable in some places, but I ended up giving this one 4 stars. Yeah, Harlan Coben, Play Dead. The next one we have here, Stephen King, The Institute. You guys know I have to read Stephen King book. I thought I got this from my son-in-law for Christmas or a birthday or something, and I thought that I had already read it, and I did not read it. This one, it's not horror. It's kind of a mystery mixed with coming of age. This boy is at home. It's in the middle of the night. His parents are shot and killed, and he knows it. He is then kidnapped and taken to this institute for kids that have special abilities. And his special ability, I think, is he can move objects. but not really good. So they got a back half to the Institute where you don't want to end up going, because everybody that goes to the back half never comes back. So it sounded very intriguing, which is why I read it. I believe I rated, let me see. I rated this 5 stars, of course. It was fantastic. Great characters, great plot line, fantastic. So that is The Institute by Stephen King. The next one reread is Keep Quiet by Lisa Scottolini. Again, this was a little bit predictable. I don't know. I liked the characters. I rated it 4 stars. Her writing style, I think, is one of the things that I like the most about it. But this story is, there's these 2 parents, and mom thinks dad needs to spend more time with the son. They need to have a better connection. So she tells them, hey, go pick them up after this movie so you guys can, you know, get to know each other a little bit better, because they don't hang out. He works all the time. So they do that. They're driving on this road that's pretty deserted. And he says, hey, Dad, can I drive? Because, you know, he's got his driver's permit. So the dad's like, oh, this would be a great way for us to kind of connect a little bit. So, of course, he lets his son drive the car. And there's a tragic moment. And at that time, reading the synopsis, I already knew what that was going to be. So that first part is kind of predictable, but I'm not going to tell you anything else, because that'll just give away a whole lot more. You'll figure out soon enough in the very early stages of the book. So this one is Keep Quiet by Lisa Scottolini. Oh, what can I say about this? Splintered by A.G. Howard. I can't say that this trilogy is a retelling, because it's not. It's not like that at all. Of course, as you can tell, this was a cover by. Years ago, I bought this. This is not a retelling of Alice in Wonderland, but it's like an addition to, we'll say. Her great-great-grandmother was Alice. So you can see where I'm coming from with that. Oh my gosh. I rated this 5 stars. I couldn't rate it anything else. I don't know. I don't read many of this style book, but this was just breathtaking. Like, I was just swept away. I couldn't get over the beauty, the imagery, the characters. Everything was just fantastic. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to let you guys experience this book. This is a YA fantasy, and if you guys watch my channel, you'll know that I'm an Alice in Wonderland lover. I love anything Alice in Wonderland. So this is like an addition to, or a story after, or whatever, but it was great. You have to read it. I can't recommend this book enough. So that is Splintered by A.G. Howard. 5 stars. The next book I read, which is a reread, Ted Dekker. This is Adam. Y'all know I love Ted Dekker. The only reason I did this, and most of these books are going through my A through Z challenge, and I even set up a Goodreads group for this. So right now it's really just me and my family. Just look up Apples to Zucchini, and you will find the group. But most of these books are for the A through Z challenge. But this is about a serial killer that they named Eve, and I think it was 16 people that he had killed. So I couldn't understand why is the book called Adam? Well, that will come to you in this. So Daniel, who is the detective, is the one that's trying to figure out who this serial killer is. And that's all I'm going to say. It is a psychological thriller, which Ted Dekker does best. And yeah, this is a 5-star read for me. I loved it the last couple times I read it. I loved it this time. My sister loved it. Something important, though, in this book, you will see these newspaper or magazine article clippings in here. Those are very, very important because it talks about the serial killer, his life growing up, and as it leads to him being Eve, the serial killer. So yeah, that is Ted Dekker's Adam. fantastic. This one, again, from my A through Z challenge. This is, sorry if you hear that, that is my grandson who is not happy right now. This is Stephen King's Blockade Billy. Okay, now there's actually Blockade Billy in this book, and then Morality was in this book. They're just very dry, boring stories. Blockade Billy was more on the mystery side. And it's real quick. It's a very small book. Morality, I have no idea what I read with that one. Overall, I gave it 2 stars. Blockade Billy, as you can tell, is a baseball story, mystery included. And Morality, there's nothing moral about that story at all. I gave it 2 stars, and I feel like that's generous for this. But it was for my B, and it was small and quick and fast and easy to read, so I knew I'd finish it. If this was a big book, I would have DNF'd it. Yeah, so Blockade Billy by Stephen King, plus Morality is included. This next book, Unhinged. This is from the Splintered trilogy. Again, breathtaking work. Look at the art. Look at the covers. This is just the continued story of Allison, who is the character. It's her trek, I'm going to say, through Wonderland. That's all I'm going to say. You guys, these are so fantastic. So fantastic. I absolutely love this trilogy. The next one we got here is All the Bright Places. I read quite a few reviews on this book. It was okay. I mean, it was good. The characters were good, and they were believable. The story goes, you've got Violet and you've got Finch. They meet each other standing out on the ledge because they're going to take the plunge. Now, guy, and he really didn't want to kill himself. He was just thinking of all these different ways you could die. Violet, on the other hand, is a very well-known, well-loved cheerleader in school, very popular, but she lost her sister in an accident, so she does want to take the plunge. Well, Finch manages to talk her down, but it's covered up as she talked him down kind of story, and then it goes from there. Everything I just told you is right here in the synopsis, so nothing is spoiled. This is by Jennifer Niven, and I rated it 3 stars. I liked how they bonded, and I liked the characters because they were relatable. I just think there were questions that weren't answered and that sort of thing. So anyway, somebody else may really love it. I just didn't find it to be overly anything, really. So, yeah, Jennifer Niven's All the Bright Places. The next one we got here, Unsnared. Can you guess? That is the 3rd and final book in the trilogy, in the Splintered trilogy. Again, breathtaking. Again, 5 stars. I love this trilogy. I would recommend it to anybody who loves Alice in Wonderland, because this one is exceptional. It's written so well. A.G. Howard, he's got a hit with this trilogy. Next one we got here is The Quickie by James Patterson. I needed a cue, so I got this one. Nothing special, no big thrills and chills or any of that. It's got pretty good mystery. It was a nice, quick, fast, easy read. It's pretty much what the title says. That's what the book is, The Quickie. And things happen from that. Mystery happens. Yeah, so I'm not going to say anything else about it. I think I rated this 3 stars. Yes, I rated that 3 stars. The next one here, I wasn't sure what I was going to rate this. This is called You Have Been Warned. It is definitely a psychological thriller. Let me read this to you guys. It says, Christine Burns has lived her day by philosophy, don't think, just shoot. So she's taking a bunch of pictures. Struggling to make ends meet, she works full-time as a nanny for the fabulously wealthy Turnbull family, looking after their 2 wonderful children and waiting for her glamorous life as a New York photographer to begin. So that's the premise of the story. She loves these children that she's a nanny for. She's also trying to be a photographer. I was mind blown, actually, and I didn't know. There was so much going on. Lots of questions weren't answered. And I can't tell you the one thing that I didn't understand, because that would give away a lot of the story. I don't want to do that. It is definitely psychological, but I think it could have come together better than it did. It's James Patterson and Howard Rugen, I guess you say that. I can definitely tell you that this has got Howard Rugen. He's got most of the stuff in this, because this is nothing like James Patterson would write, I don't think. This other one, the Quickie, was Michael Ledwig, and I really like Michael Ledwig's writing. He's pretty good. But this one, I don't know. I rated it 3 stars because I wasn't sure which way I wanted it to go. I thought that was right down the middle. You know, questions weren't answered, and just the flow, or the I don't even know. The way it all came together, the timeline, everything seemed a little warped. The main character was okay. Most of the characters were okay, but a lot of the story just wasn't believable. But then again, that's why it's fiction. So I don't know. Enter at your own risks. I rated it 3 stars. I don't know. The next one we read here is The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. Y'all, if you've been watch me, know I love Kristen Hanna. And this book, again, breathtaking. 5 stars. They've got a mom, a dad, and a daughter, and dad's got PTSD. He's home from the war. They want a new life, and it's set in Alaska, so because they moved there, and it's out in the Alaskan wilderness, so they've got to kind of do things differently like they would have done in the old days, because people were there living off the grid and yada yada yada. And this is how mom and daughter deal with dad in his extreme rage most of the time. So it's so good and heartfelt, but I have to tell you, there are triggers in here for anybody who are victims or are related to something to do with abuse. So yeah, there could be lots of triggers in there due to that. If that gives stuff away, I'm sorry, but I like to give that warning because a lot of times it doesn't tell you, and people read and then triggered by whatever. So anyway, The Great Alone, Kristen Hanna, it's wrote with so much emotion, and you just feel every bit of it. It's fantastic. The next one I read as What Have You Done? This is by Matthew Farrell. I picked this up at a used bookstore. It was on the sales rack, and I rated this a 3 star. It's a pretty decent mystery at 3 stars. But this is mystery. It's got a lot of good mystery. Again, parts are predictable. You never know if the author really wants it to be predictable or not. But what happened is there is a mutilated body they find strung up in a hotel, and the forensic pathologist, or the guy that works in forensics, is there to collect stuff, and he notices that he knows the victim. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to give anything away, but it is predictable. I kind of figured it out already, all the way to the very end, but it is really good. It flows well. The characters are great. So yeah, that is What Have You Done by Matthew Farrell. The last book, here we are. The last book that I read is November 9 by Colleen Hoover. Okay, let me tell you something. When I first started BookTube, I would always hear people talk about Colleen Hoover and how fantastic Colleen Hoover is. And I'm like, oh, well, I need to read something by Colleen Hoover. I never did until now, and I started BookTube in 2014. So, yeah, I loved this. I love her writing style. I love the emotion. The feels were just, I don't know. I couldn't put the book down. I read this book in one day. One day. And fantastic. If you haven't read Colleen Hoover, she is a great contemporary writer. This is more contemporary romance. What happens is this guy and this girl, they meet on November 9th, and it's the anniversary of other things. So they agree to meet every November 9th. There was a huge twist in here that I did not expect at all, and it just added to the story. It's fantastic. So that is November 9 by Colleen Hoover. 5 stars. Okay. Wow, that was a lot of books. Yeah, so that is my wrap-up. If you've read any of these books and you liked it or didn't like it, comment down below and let me know and we'll talk about it. Thanks, guys, for staying tuned. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.